for joining us. This is our time with the Minerals Commission, and last week we discussed the additional measures put in place for the safe transportation of explosives pursuant to rules as set out in Regulations 95 to 115 of the Minerals and Mining Explosives Regulation 2012 LI 2177. In today's edition, we are going to continue our discussion on the additional health and safety protocols, and we are delighted to have once again Mr. John Amoanyi, Acting Chief Inspector of Mines of the Minerals Commission, to clarify some more issues for us this morning. Mr. Amoanyi, good morning once again and welcome.
Good morning.
You are decked in your smock and hat. Very Ghanaian.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us again. We just want to recap what we did last week. So, on the heels of what happened in Apiate a couple of weeks ago, there was a need to add on some more measures to the already existing ones in LI 2177. And these have been done and communicated. Recap for us once again what some of those additional measures are, in case someone missed it from last week.
Okay, so for the additional measures, I have the measures here. So what I would like to do is to just
go through a few
of them, and then we start today's one. If you look at the point 6 of the additional measures, it says that the escort vehicle shall be inspected and all the details recorded in the inspector's field book by an inspector of mines on the day the explosives are to be transported. So, and then if you look at the 7 says escort vehicles must have a red flashing light clearly visible at least 50 meters away, and a crimson or siren or hooter or automatically operated bell. So I think that recap the what we discussed
last week. We also talked about the speed limit and the distance between the escorting vehicle and the truck carrying the explosives.
Yeah. For the 8 points, I talked about the transportation itself. So the transportation of explosives on public roads shall have 2 escorts. Formally, if you look at the regulations, you say there should be an escort, which the regulations do not clarify. So the additional measures were put in place for clarity, to clarify a certain aspect of the regulations. So for this one, you say the transportation of explosives on public roads shall have 2 escorts, one leading the explosives truck and maintaining at most 50 meters from the vehicle carrying the explosives, with a uniformed and armed police officer, and the other behind the explosives truck and maintaining a distance of 50 to a distance of at least 20 meters and at most 30 meters with an armed and uniformed police officer. So that is what it is for the 8.8.
Okay, so that's what we covered last week.
Yes.
Are there additional measures you want to educate us on this morning?
Yeah, the 0.9, 0.10, maybe based on your questions, it will take care of those additional measures. But okay. I can just move into read the 0.9. A person who drives an escort vehicle shall not drive faster than 60 kilometers per hour.
Not faster than 60
that
kilometers.
Is 60 kilometers per hour. You need to drive at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
Like the same as the explosive truck. So we don't want a situation whereby the escort truck will be far away than this. So
I remember that you said one of the reasons is because last week you told us that you don't want other drivers breaking into the way of the escort vehicle, whether yes. in front of or behind the truck, yes. when they are moving in that line.
Yes. Because we don't want, that is, we are using the escort vehicle as also a shield at the same time, whilst escorting them and listen. Announcing the presence of the explosive truck is also as a barrier, so that in case there is any intruder, I think you will encounter the escort vehicle before, and as also the siren and then hooter and then so forth. I don't think there will be any other vehicle wanted to come in between the two based on what had happened before. So that was what I was just...
Right. I'm seeing that you have a paper in front of you. So we've talked about 8, we've talked about 9, and I think we've mentioned 6 and 7. What else is on that paper? I see about 14 points.
Yes, it's 14. So I can quickly go through the 14 points.
Let's
and
do
then
that.
we move into your... Okay, so the number 10 says that competent persons accompanying explosive trucks shall notify the regional inspector of mines in the region upon arriving at their destinations and indicate the arrival times in a designated logbook for that purpose. And
Why
then,
is notification important?
Yes, like we want to just acknowledge your arrival at where you were supposed to transport the explosive to. So once you arrived, you need to notify the regional inspector that nothing happened. We were able to arrive safely. So that is all that we need. We want you to just notify the regional inspector. Okay. If you look at the 10, it says the explosives manager shall develop the code of safe working practice, and the code shall be approved by an inspector. So if you look at our regulations, that is the regulation 515 of the LI 2182, that is the health and safety one. And then also if you look at the explosives one, that is the LI 2177. It's before you do any activity, you need to develop this safe operating procedure. So that what we are saying is that you need to develop, as an explosive manager, you need to come out of your safe operating procedure, especially transportation along the public road. You need to just develop, and then it should.
This is for every mine, or for every mining company.
Every mining company, every explosive company, every mine support service company, quarry, and any blasting firm. If you want to engage in the blasting activities, if you want to transport explosives, you need to go by this.
This code of safe working practice.
You develop. You see, it's like you are developing a code such that whatever you will do, you follow the procedures, and then you will do, and then it will be savory, and then you will do the right thing you are supposed to. And then what we are also saying is that this code of safe operating procedure should be risk-based. If I say the risk-based, like, if you are transporting along the road, you see, we have towns, some of the road you will not even see any town. So once you know that at a point, or in particular where you are just using the explosive truck to travel in, at a point in time, you will meet a town, maybe very bigger town, and then you see the population, and then the whole place is more denser, and then you will see a lot of vehicles, a lot of these tricycles, and then the cycles. What we want you as explosive manager is that you need to, if whilst developing the safe operating procedure, we need to just take all those things into consideration. Look at the risk involved, so that you just, after just developing this one, you train the competent person who will accompany the explosive truck, and then also the driver, because the driver also needs to be given an induction, so that whilst getting closer to that particular area, then you should know how you will just move your vehicle slowly, and then the hooter, siren, every requirement, you need to just also perform what it's supposed to perform.
Okay, so the mine manager, you're saying that
the explosives
manager is the one who's supposed to develop the code.
Yes.
And then they have to do that based on the risks involved and train the competent people to transport.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Great. I think I'm following the conversation. We also know that certain kinds of explosives are prohibited from being transported on public roads.
Yes.
Explain that directive to us.
You see, we have 3 types of explosives. We have the high explosives, we have the detonators, and then we have the what we call blasting agents. So for the high explosives, we don't manufacture in Ghana. So we always import the high explosives.
For example,
we have some called, if you've heard about dynamite, pentolite, power gel, they are all high explosives,
which are not manufactured in Ghana.
We don't manufacture in Ghana.
Why not?
We don't have
the capacity.
Yes, the facilities and the capacities.
Is the Minerals Commission thinking about building capacity to do these things?
We cannot do it on our own unless maybe investors will come around and then just do it.
How much will it cost to set up a facility like that?
I haven't done that calculation.
Okay,
but
it's a lot.
Just look at the safety aspect of this. Even where you need to just do this manufacturing, it should be some area specific. You need to just identify an area, and then also those things involved in the manufacturing. All these things need to be taken into consideration.
So that's high
explosives.
We
also have
detonators.
One we call detonators. So that is also is normally called the low explosives, and then we have the blasting agents. So
do we manufacture the detonators?
We don't also manufacture the detonators here. We also import. If you want to import, you apply through the Interior Ministry. But the Commission, the Chief Inspector of Mines need to support your application with a letter that you have facilities here, you can store, you have the explosive managers, you have the competent people, they can just handle those materials. And then we have the blasting agent. The blasting agent is done in Ghana here. The components, that is the materials we use, especially for the ammonium nitrate. That they are imported into the country. But the composition, the components are the ammonium nitrate and then also diesel or fuel oil. So if you mix the two together, you have the blasting agent. So what we are saying is that since we are importing the ammonium nitrate, and then we also have diesel here, why not find a place within the mining environment which will be inspected, and then we take it will be inspected, and then we come into compromise that the place is appropriate for the mixing of these explosives, that is the blasting agent. What happened at Apiati, the blasting agent, that is we call AMFO, ammonium nitrate fuel oil. So we can manufacture this particular one. So what we are saying is that why not just go to the mining area, go to the quarry where the support service company is, or the area we wanted to just do the blasting, and then do the manufacturing there, rather than transporting the blasting agent along our public roads. So that is all that we are saying. So we need to have the equipment, the plants, the materials to be at a specific place, to do it closer to the mine, so that after manufacturing or after coming out with the blasting agent, we just distribute to the mining so that they will use, rather than just doing it at a particular place and transporting along our public route.
Let me see if I understand this clearly. So in the case of Apiate, as we are using as a reference point, remember that a full report on what happened will be submitted to the sector ministry, and they will communicate accordingly in due course when that is done. So this is in no way meant to be an indictment or a prejudice on the ongoing investigations. You're making us understand that, for example, in the case of Apiate, the explosives were being transported together. This is the ammonium nitrate fuel oil.
Yes.
Was being transported together with the diesel.
No, I'm saying the transportation, the explosive, that is the blasting agent, were being transported from Takwa, where the plant
was based.
Yes, and then to a mine called Echilano. So what we are saying is that this can be manufactured at the mine site.
The ammonium nitrate fuel oil can be manufactured.
Can be manufactured at the mine site.
Okay.
The ammonium nitrate fuel oil, you have your ammonium nitrate, and then you combine with diesel or fuel oil, and then you have your blasting agent. So what we are saying is that don't do it and transport, but you should identify a site which we will do the inspection there if the place is good for the mixing of the ammonium nitrate fuel oil, so that you do it closer to the mine, so that there will not be any transportation of this particular one, because this one we can manufacture. Okay,
so now the rule is, or the additional measure is, do not transport ready to go, for lack of a better word, explosives.
Yes,
like the ammonium nitrate fuel oil.
Yes.
You can transport ammonium nitrate and the fuel oil separately.
Separately.
But not the already mixed one heading to the mining site.
Yes.
Sweet. I think I have a career in mining analysis at least, if not the actual.
So that, for the initial, I was saying the high explosives, we cannot do it here, so we import. The detonators, we are not doing it here, we import. But this one, we can just manufacture.
Okay.
So what we are saying is that go and then manufacture at a place closer to the mine, so that you will not transport this explosives to our public roads.
Okay, so that's the prohibition there. You cannot transport these types of explosives on public roads. They have to be sited closer to the mine sites. Let me take us back a little bit to the code.
For this particular, I would just want to just stress on this particular one. You see, we have also given exceptions. So unless the Chief Inspector of Mines give you exemption on this particular one. So
what are the modalities for the exemptions in this case?
So it depends. If you apply that, because of, you need to give us why you cannot do it on site.
But isn't it about offering one thing and taking it back with the other hand? So you've already issued a directive and then you say unless.
Yes, we have just, because you see, this came just instant. So if you can convince the Chief Inspector of Mines that, oh, because of this reason we need to transport, then he will also look into where do you want to transport the explosives to, whether it's from here to Paga, where it's from here to maybe Dunkwa, or wherever you want to.
So you are Chief Inspector of Mines. Under what conditions would you permit a company to transport these materials in this flammable state? So
first of all, I will just look where you are transporting to. Can we set up a factory, or can we set up a mixing plant at that particular place, or do we have the plant which can be used to do the mixing there? One, if we don't have, fine. Do you also give us your route? Where will you use for your transportation? We need to also know what are the measures, the security measures, because we consider the safety and then also security. So have the police been involved? The BIN or BNI. They have to. You also need to notify the national security about this transportation. We need to involve all those, and then also go by the 14 additional measures. So if we involve all this, because it's explosive and then anything can happen. So you give us the destiny, and then you need to we ask you to notify maybe the district, there's a MCE at that particular district where we think the place is very congested. We need to just define a time of the traveling, or the day of the traveling. If it is a market day, we can say that no, don't transport this at this particular market day, or just do it this day, because this day there's no market at that particular route you want to use. So all these things need to be considered, and then before we can just also give you the exemption. And then the exemption will be limited. Either we will give you for only 1 month, or 2 days, or 3 months, depending on the type of material, or the number of material, or the need of where you want to transport the explosive to.
On that basis, are you in talks with the mining companies to try and sort of facilitate the process of them having space designated for carrying out these things?
Yes. See, when this thing happened, even that time the Chirano were already setting up the mixing plant. So currently they've notified us, which we have given them the go ahead to do that. So that.
Have you gone to inspect the facility?
No, we have inspectors in Kumasi. They go there. So at any particular point, they notify us, and then we will just alert the inspectors to go and then just have a look at where they have gotten to, whether it's okay, not okay, and then so on and so forth. They just only give us an update on this particular.
But Shirano is just one mine.
All the mines has been communicated to. We've sent a circular. I myself has also sent some to all the mining explosives and the inquiry. Everyone. We even engage the explosive companies, and then also engage the quarries. The mining companies we sent to the Chamber of Mines, Ghana Chamber of Mines. So we sent to their CEO for him also to just also forward it, or also sent to the various mining companies, because we want everyone to be aware of these additional measures so that you don't go contrary to the measures.
Okay, let's go back maybe briefly to the code of safe working practice. You told us who must approve it, and the Minerals Commission has to be involved. It has to follow a certain procedure. But where should it be kept? Should it be displayed at the work premises? Should it be something that workers should have in the back of their minds whilst they are working? Are they handed hard copies? What's the mode of communication of this code?
The transportation involves a lot of activities. So the activity which activity of transportation, that one need to be given to after they develop, you need to just give a copy to the competent person, so that he will also go to do, after training, he will also go to do, and then
who's the competent person?
A competent person is a person with explosive certificate of competency, a person who has been trained to handle, to use explosives. So the person who knows the properties of explosives, and then can also be used in blasting activities, is the competent person. And then we have a special book and we normally issue to them. Before we even issue, we have to go through the police fingerprint and all those things, because we need to be sure that you are not a criminal before we can just issue. And then that person can even do the mixing of the blasting agent. So anyone with explosive certificate of competency, we term that particular person as a competent person. Okay,
because we are talking about personnel, tell us about who accompanies a truck of explosives on a journey from one point to another. We know that there's a driver, and then there are escort vehicles, but who are the people in these vehicles?
So for the explosive truck itself, we have the driver and then also the competent person. And then for the escort vehicles, you should have the driver and then police escort.
The two?
Yeah, the one leading and then the one behind. They all should have policemen.
Okay.
Yes.
In the situation of Apiate, there were suggestions for perhaps an ambulance to be on that escort. Is that something that you've considered for eventualities and risk?
What we are considering is maybe the one behind should have emergency response facilities. So in case there's a fire, they can also fight the fire. And then that one, there will be a fireman in. So that is what we are considering. But for now, what we have said, or the measures issued out, they are the ones we are now going by. But there was a whole considerations we are also looking for. We see, as a commission, we believe the concept of continuous improvement. So once we identify that this can be also used or can be added, so that it will make the job very safe and then also secure. Because always we think about the safety and then also the security, and then also the health and the health of the workmen. So that is what we just look. If at a point we notice that this need to be improved, we need to, and then we also just put across to the public any suggestion, anything which can also be added to make the transportation of explosives along our public roads safe. We accept, and then we just add it to.
Okay, so emergency response vehicles, facilities, or implements to accompany the vehicles. I've also heard.
I'm saying that is what we are.
You're considering.
We are considering, like in case there was emergency response vehicle which has all the fire implements can be used to quench the fire. I think maybe at that particular time, the firemen should have even just quenched or extinguished the fire. But because there wasn't anything on that sort. So what we are saying, well, that is what we are also considering. We need to consider so many things.
So that's one suggestion.
Yes, we are just brainstorming so many.
The other one that I've heard perhaps has to do with insurance packages, and I don't know if the Minerals Commission goes into.
For now, that is what we are also looking into.
Okay.
But we haven't come out with any other thing, because we know that all vehicles need to be insured. That is what we know. Every vehicle in Ghana, we need to insure the vehicle. But the other aspect of it, that is what we are also looking into.
Okay, now take us through once again the checklist for the safe transportation of explosive materials.
Okay, so if you look at it, this is a checklist. We have about 16 checklists. So if you look at the one, it says, is the explosive company duly registered and having all the requisite approvals or permits? So this one, the inspector who will be there to just monitor before the explosive store can be moved out. He need to just check all these things. And then if you look at the two, it says that did the explosive manager notify the chief inspector of mines or chief inspector of mines or explosives a day before transporting the explosives to a mine or quarry? If you look at the three, is a mine inspector present, inspected, verified, and recorded in a special designated explosives logbook that all the requisite safety requirements, rules and protocols been met before transporting the explosive? If you look at the four, as the explosive truck being physically inspected by a mine inspector and gone through the truck examination list to ensure it is in good condition before transporting the explosives. The five says that is the explosive truck driver having a professional driving license to drive the vehicle. The six is the explosive truck having a red flashing light visible at least 100 meters away. And then the seven is the explosive truck having a klaxon or siren, hooter, or automatically operated bell. You see, this klaxon, hooter, automatically operated bell, we use that one in underground, but in our explosive regulations, we are not having that one in our explosive regulations. So we are saying, why not just also bring them to be a requirement of the explosive truck? But for underground, we use them. We use something called locomotive underground, and then it should have all these requirements I've mentioned. Okay. If you also look at the 8, is the explosive truck equipped with automatic fire suppression system and fire extinguishers? If you look at the regulation says fire extinguisher, but there's nothing like automatic fire suppression system. But now we are saying the vehicle should have the automatic fire suppression system. We used to have fire suppression system, but that one were not automatic. But now you yourself have to do the activation. But now what we are saying is that you should have automatic fire suppression system. If you look at the 9, that is the explosive truck has an integrated monitoring system to check driver fatigue. So this is also what we wanted to introduce, because as you drive, we also need to look whether the driver is fatigued or is not. So fatigue management, we should have a gadget to.
What's the acceptable amount of time a driver is safely permitted to drive an explosive before they have to be replaced or changed?
You see, it depends on where the explosive is being transported to. If it's as a fire, then there should be 2 drivers, because even if you look at our road regulations, a particular driver, you cannot just drive longer than 4 hours. You see, you'll be fatigued. And then also, we are even saying that we shouldn't even wait for 4 or 3 or 2 hours. There should be something to monitor you. If the team notice that you are fatigued, and then the behavior, because at times you can see people driving and then you could see that the person is tired. Asleep. Maybe you couldn't sleep well, and so forth. So all these things need to be. We have a machines who can check all these things. The mines are already using those machines in their pits. So what we are saying is that why also not come in? But some of this, we are saying that we are giving some of these things the time frame, like the tracking. As the explosive truck moves, there should be some tracker tracking the truck, so that at any particular point you know where the truck is. So that is also another thing we also. And then what we are also saying, that do we have a megaphone on the explosive truck to warn persons or bystanders in case of danger? So in case of danger, there should be some communication to the community or where we have the crowded or bystanders, so that they run away from. Because at a point you cannot do anything. All that you need to do is to run away. And then in Ghana here, these days, once people are running away, people are also coming to just have a look and then just film or snap the distance. Number 11 says, as the company installed an in-vehicle monitoring, as I said, the tracking, monitoring system in the explosive track vehicle. So that is the tracking system I was talking about. So if you look at the 12, as the mine inspector endorsed, certified as okay the way bill for transportation and certify himself that the explosives are under the direct control of a person with a certificate of competency in accordance with regulation 15.2 of LI 2177. What we are saying is that, you see, every explosive truck, after loading, it should have a way bill. Okay. So, inspector, if you look through the list, you've gone through the list with them, and then all the requirements have been met, then you need to endorse to the way bill. If you also look at the 13, is the transportation of explosives having 2 escorts. So that is the mines inspector. We need to ensure that we have the 2 escorts, and then we have the policemen, we have the police permit, you have all those things that will permit the truck to move. 14 says, as the explosive truck driver being trained and aware that he has to maintain a speed limit at most 60 kilometers per hour while transporting explosives on public roads. So also there should be some training for the driver. So we call it induction. You need to give some induction to the driver and then just explain everything. You shouldn't go beyond this, and then the distance you need to maintain. As the explosive 15, as the explosive manager developed a code of safe working practice regarding the transport of explosive from its operational site to other sites. And then lastly, is the competent person in possession of the explosive code of safe working practice. So these are the 16 in our explosive transportation checklist. These are the requirements. If you are able to, you've met this, then you can move your thing out.
16 checks before you move your truck.
Yes.
So final comments from you. What happens if any of these regulations are flouted?
If we have various sanctions on that, and then also, first of all, the explosive manager, we give tickets or we give certification to the explosive manager. Your certificate can be endorsed or cancelled or suspended, depending on the gravity of your breaches. So, in the first place, you, the manager, you yourself, you'll be punished. We will also punish the company. Now I know we will just impose some fines on the company, and then also it also have prison terms, which can also be added. You see, we don't, when it comes to the prison and all that, we don't prosecute. So those things will be handed to the police to just handle that thing. But what we are saying is that you can be sacked. If you go contrary to this thing, you can be sacked.
And since you are considering additional measures, you are considering emergency response, you are considering insurance packages, is there a plan for mining companies to assume more responsibility in case of accidents and incidents for the communities and the lives affected by such happenings like in Apiate?
Yes. As a mining company, you need to coexist with your community. And then their community problem is your problem.
So why do we see so many of these mining communities lacking so much in amenities? I wouldn't want to mention names because then the lawyers will start writing us letters. But we know prominent mining communities where basic social amenities are very few.
Yeah, what I would say is that the mines, they are doing their part. And then I hope you have done economics. You see, women wants are unlimited. Women wants are insatiable. So as we do, I think the demand will also come. You cannot satisfy everyone. But we will also encourage the mining companies. We are saying that at their returns, they need to include their corporate social responsibility. What so far they've done in their returns. So we also look into. We also have the community relations inspectors. They also go to the mines and the community. So they are just bonding the two together. So if there's an issue with the community relations officer will handle those things. So at times you have one or two people within the community, they will come out and say so many things. But I think it's good. As I also said, you cannot satisfy everyone. But they will also just appeal to them to do as much as they can. Because you see, whatever you are doing, you are still imparting something negatively to the community. So once you are in the community, you also need to ensure that the communities they are satisfied.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Amoanyi.
Thank you
for spending time with us.
Thank
I'm sure that we'll meet again. Mr. John Amoanyi is the acting chief inspector of mines of the Minerals Commission. He's been explaining to us the additional measures put in place for the safe transportation of minerals, mining equipment and explosives pursuant to rules set out in regulations 95 to 115 of the Minerals and Mining Explosives Regulations 2012 LI 2177. Mr. Amoanyi, I'm sure we'll have you back again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.